So, I'm going to give you a little tour of Weatherstone Woods in its present state. I'm turning in to McConnell Pond Road. This is the beginning of the way to get to the property. I have a trailer behind me, as you can see, with four-wheeler on it. I'm going to do a little riding around the property and give you a tour. So, I'll let you know when we get to the property gate. Alright, we are up to the gate. The gate stays locked. I imagine we're going to put it actually a nicer, more welcoming gate. Maybe with a little better construction. We have some logging going on, so there's equipment in here to be protected, and land as well. Roads actually improved quite a bit. There's some sort of a base level of gravel that's been put in or added, and they're going to actually continue that and really improve it. So you see some logging equipment, some amazing equipment. And then we just need to find a place to park. There, facing out. I always park facing out. Kind of a little thing I do. Okay. We are now at the entrance to what we call Weatherstone Woods. Weatherstone Woods is going to become a small development, all sustainable energy, using mostly solar, possibly some wind backup, but completely off grid. Right now we're in the logging stage and the planning and development, so we're being very sensitive and careful as to how we log and where we log, and so is the logging company, Doyen, Tom Wheeler. Some of the equipment in this operation, pretty incredible equipment, pretty advanced stuff. That one right there takes the logs and saws them to be ready to take. Each pile, of course, is for different pulp or chips or regular boards. That'll pick up a handful of 7-8 logs and saw them right up. Some of the skidder trails. There's a nice skidder. Also pretty incredible piece of equipment. Everything in his collection of equipment gets very well maintained. I've been here while he's had people welding or making sure everything's tip-top. Another skidder. Some bridges on this trailer. That right there is the delimber. That takes the trees as they come in and actually does just what it says. It delimbs them. You see that long shaft pulls the trees up through, and on the bottom by those clamps are some blades and an actual chainsaw blade that comes down when it's got its final delimbing process done. Something pretty major to watch. This is the feller buncher. Also an amazing piece of equipment. So, here's the entrance to Weatherstone. This is what you will see ultimately as you come in. This rock, perhaps a modest sign describing where you are. So we're going to get the four-wheeler going. Take a little bit of tour through the property. This road runs parallel to one of the older logging roads that's been in here. But he's cut through this road rather than disrupting the other road. The end of the other road are some camps. We'd like to maintain some privacy for them since they have a right of way through our property. You can imagine when you look, these will be parts of some lots some amazing views when you take only a small amount of the trees away. You actually open up some views to some of the mountains, which are amazing. Here we are on the, I would call this the northeast side of the property. You can see the property marker, boundary marker. Can't really go in here with the four-wheeler, or I've chosen not to. I have boot guards, but I want to break them. And it's a little too stumpy, and it's a walk just to get out of here in case I do hit something wrong. This has been left in a condition here where it can grow back and without too much effort. Nice knoll here. I imagine if some of the woods there were cut, or down the way we just came from, you'd have an amazing view, possibly of Bluff Mountain, and if you did it right, the Senecas as well, because through there you can see the Seneca Range. What would be directly that way is Bluff Mountain. It's beautiful. Okay, there's my ride. Here's another knoll. Maybe it's a third way in from the northeastern border. On my way back, I just noticed this. Here's actually a view where you can just see through the mountains there, or through into the mountains. Take enough of these little trees out, leave some of the big ones. Place a nice little home, camp, vacation place. No matter what you place up here, you won't be using grid power because we have no intention or plans to bring in grid power. This will be a solar and optional wind sustainable community. One of the things you may notice as we go on this little tour is there are a lot of rocks. A lot of big, beautiful granite rocks. This area of Vermont, and the Northeast for that matter, has quite a few of them. But here's a great example. Off in the woods here, it's beautiful. Beautiful rock. You clear a couple of trees out of there. Suppose this is your building lot, and you've chosen this, and you've got 5 acres with whatever we figure out for a great buffer zone wooded area. That's a beautiful view to look out. On this knoll, you've got that rock. You've got Bluff Mountain. It goes down slope a little bit. Depending on what's done with the lot next to it, you may also have a view of the Senecas. That will be further down the road in development. Again, another amazing example of a glacial granite deposit. You can almost imagine this as the beginning of your driveway, or perhaps this might be the back of your property. There's a little knoll up here I've chosen to not drive up because I'm stuck out there in a rut of the wrong facing branches from the skidder. And again, I'm a little far away to be worried about replacing inner tubes alone. So here, on this rock, this lot will have a view of the Senecas, which you cannot see through those trees probably in the video. And you will also have a view over here of Bluff Mountain right outside of town in Island Pond. Amazing. Again, it's our intention to divide these lots, these building lots, in a way that not just gives you a minimum of 5 acres, depending on how the division goes. It will, however, be a minimum of 5 acres. We want to include common areas or buffer zones. And those will be wooded, or some of them will be some wetlands or marsh area. This will give people an opportunity to be someplace where they're separated from each other, yet they know that there are others here, and we are very close to town. This will not change my drive to St. Johnsbury or Lyndonville or Burke or Newport, depending on where I'm headed, in the slightest. Getting down the driveway. That's it. Just like at my other home in Island Pond. For those of you who are looking to be closer to nature or a more natural environment with a view of nature, we have here what is wetlands. So not quite in the middle of the property, it's kind of offset to the north a bit. This is maybe about 8 to 10 feet deep from my understanding. There are very often moose, deer, bear, a variety of wildlife. This is protected. This will remain protected. We will not try to change this, improve it, or control it in any way. We will follow the guidelines that the Wetlands Committee suggests. Over there behind is Bluff Mountain. I just came off of the higher point down to this point to show you this beautiful body of water right here in the middle of the property. We envision as developers that we will have 1 or 2 observation areas for observation only. There will be no hunting when this becomes residential. Not in this area. There will be too many homes around it. And by too many, I mean if there's 1 or 2, that's too many. This needs to be a friendly environment. There are plenty of other adjoining lands available for that. So now you can see, as I'm ready to get back on the four-wheeler and go further into the property, you have a great little view of this pond. Interesting, there's also another pretty high rock. It's very marshy down there. You can almost imagine using the top of that rock as a platform to view. Maybe you take 1 of the dead trees, 2 of the dead trees, looks like 3, actually 4, which would create a nice little clearing. Small, but beautiful. Doyen Logging has been incredibly sensitive to making sure that our desires here are met. With that I mean that their team is not leaving any stumps, you know, out in view unnecessarily, whether this becomes a road or not. We haven't determined that, but he's been very careful with that, and we do appreciate that, because if this is not going to be a road, we want it to just grow back into nature. So we're now at a point that we've called or named Bear North. Bear North, specifically this particular rock, was one of the first points that highlighted to us the beauty that's all around. Through the woods that way is Bluff Mountain. This particular home lot will not clear much in that direction. But when you look in this direction, you will see there is a beautiful view which we've opened to the Senecas. We have only cleared about 2 acres here, roughly, and probably will not clear much more. This provides for an elevated view of not just the mountains behind, but the natural beauty around. I can imagine that there will be a clover field or two growing around these natural rocks. Since this has been cut, interestingly, I can see some greener and faster growth only on the edges, and I'm sure that we'll also see some trees moving or behaving differently because there's nothing next to them now. This is a rock that I have named myself. It's called North Rock because the point of this rock actually points directly to magnetic north. It also points towards the top of the first cleared lot, which will be the first home site, along with a possible twin home site to be built at the same time. Here we are on North Rock. Again, noticing the views, the beautiful views. As a matter of fact, just past it, you might not be able to see it on the video, but there is a gorgeous view of Bluff Mountain right outside of town. It seems that there's no place in Weatherstone Woods that, given the small amount of work, will not afford a beautiful view. The interesting thing is the way the land is laid out here and the way the northeastern boundaries are laid out. Most of the homes will likely be facing south or southeast, which is going to be very, very beneficial for the solar aspect of the community. We're very confident that we can supply electricity per building without a farm array. But we haven't taken the farm array idea out of the equation. When we get up to 4 or 5 successfully built residences which are completely self-sustaining, we'll revisit that. But for right now, our goal is a completely self-sustaining neighborhood, if you will, very wide neighborhood spread over a large piece of land. It's 218 acres of undestroyed, beautiful land, and we will keep it that way. This is just another angle of the first building lot opened up. This is being videoed from directly below it, not the North Rock. You can imagine it with no stumps, some manicured, maybe some little gardens around the rocks, maybe nothing, maybe just some vegetation. You can use your imagination. It's still a very beautiful high point with an amazing view. Okay, now it's time to head back to the landing. I'd like to take a moment and thank you for watching our first video, the development of Weatherstone Woods. I suppose you could call this phase 1, although I would consider this just being the clearing out. Anyway, it's given you a good idea of what's available to us here, not just as far as resources and what we can do with the road system, and how to protect the natural land and be responsible with the wood growth, but also the fact that we have no buildings around us. We're looking at nothing but sky. Solar energy. The investment in equipment is well worth it. the peace of mind really puts that all together.